Welcome to the Eversio Experience podcast. I'm Brandy Garden, the co-founder of Eversio Wellness, and I'm here with my co-host, Desiree Caruso, who has a background in naturopathic medicine.
We're here to talk all about the world of mushroom wellness because mushrooms are critical to the maintenance of our physical well-being and our collective mental health.
We believe mushrooms are symbols of interconnectedness, and we're so excited to connect you with the health, wellness, and wisdom that they have brought us on our journey to this moment.
Our ancestors had deep cultural connections to mushrooms, but today they remain understudied, undervalued, and often misunderstood by much of modern society.
So we are here to change that. Eversio means change, and it's our mission to change lives through fungi.
There is a mushroom for every moment.
And we're so glad you're here to share this moment with us.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another bi-weekly episode of the Eversio Experience podcast. I'm Dr. Desiree Caruso, and I'm here with my co-host, Brandy Garden, who is the co-founder of Eversio Wellness and also our chief mushroom nerd. We're very excited about our conversation today with Samantha Gladish. Her podcast was actually the first ever show where Brandy and I were interviewed together, and she was one of the first people who inspired and encouraged us to have our own. So it is so eloquently fitting that we have you here to join us. Sam is a registered holistic nutritionist. She's the author of the 30-Day Hormone Solution, the key to better health and natural weight loss. She's an entrepreneur, a podcaster, aka the fabulous woman behind the Wellness Switch podcast, who's currently on sabbatical, business coach, and a natural-born leader dedicated to helping women achieve vibrant health. She's also the creator of the Macro Method Weight Loss Membership, which is designed to provide sustainable and achievable fat loss results while still eating the food that you love. We're going to hear from Sam about how she took her diagnosis of Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune condition affecting the thyroid, and got it into remission through diet, supplement, and lifestyle interventions. We really wanted Sam to be on the show because this is important. So without further ado, Sam, thank you so much for being here with us and welcome to the show.
Thank you. What a beautiful intro. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, you are easy to introduce because you've done it all. And
Thanks.
We've loved watching you do it. And Sam, do you realize that we have known each other for just over 3 years now?
It's
like,
amazing.
It feels like time has passed in the blink of an eye. And when I was thinking about I was like, okay, Sam's coming on the show. What was the first conversation that we had? And I think that conversation was mostly us nerding out about how much we both love mushrooms.
Totally.
Which was easy to do. But I also realized how much has changed for you these past few years. So I would love if you could introduce yourself to our audience and start out with a bit of storytelling because it's my favorite thing. And I want you to really go back to that origin story and then catch everybody up all the way to how you found yourself pregnant at 40 and then what happened after that.
Amazing. Well, we could be here a while.
Good.
Go way back in the origin story. I never know where to start with this, but I'll kick it off with saying that from, a little girl, I was always innately interested in food and nutrition. That was always just something I was so passionate about. I remember my parents taking me to McDonald's and I would order a salad. And sure, I ate the Big Macs and the fries and things like that, but I was just really connected to just food. And I so lucky to be around, growing up, my grandmother who made everything from scratch. My mother makes everything from scratch. So I'm so grateful for that and having those experiences. And so no surprise, here I am in the world of nutrition and food and doing, a lot of recipe development. And I went to U of T. I'm going to age myself. But, 20 years ago, I went to University of Toronto and I thought at the time I wanted to be a teacher. And I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And then in university was when I really fell in love with the gym and strength training and dove even deeper into the world of nutrition that I was like, no, this is really what I want to do. And so after I graduated, I went on to study holistic nutrition. And then I remember being in the marketing class and the teacher saying, you can charge $75 an hour to work with your clients. And I remember sitting there being blown away.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to make so much money doing what I love. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And then I graduated and crickets, no clients. No one came banging down my door. And I was just like, what is happening? Like, I have all this knowledge. I can help all these people. Where are they? So I had no idea how to market myself. And so this led me to actually working in the health and wellness space in terms of running supplement stores and being a sales rep for different supplement companies. And then sure enough, I got really sick and tired of working for other people. And, I just had this burning desire to really have my own business. And so sure enough, I ended up getting fired, and it was a blessing because the universe did for me what I couldn't do for myself. Ultimately, that's what happened. And so there was no plan B. And after that happened, I was just like, okay, we're doing this. And I just kind of dove full force into starting my online business and, getting on podcasts. And at that time, oh my God, I was so nervous. And I didn't really understand too much about, email marketing and online marketing, getting myself out there, and even social media. At this time, I didn't even have a Facebook account. Like, there was just so much to navigate and learn. But I figured it out. I hired support. I learned. And, sure enough, it started to just grow and flourish. And it was so exciting to be working with women globally. And then from my own health perspective, here I am deep into business, as I'm sure you know what it's like, and the long hours and the long days, and that
nobody tells you that.
No,
that's not part of the marketing class.
No,
is that
they
there's
don't.
People will be expecting a hustle and grind from a body that was never built to do that. Okay,
totally,
now go.
Totally. No, you're absolutely right, and that comes with the territory. Like, I don't love using those words, hustle and grind, but the reality is, in those first few years of starting up your business, you are doing a lot of that. And sure enough, in 2017, I remember so clearly going to the gym and lifting weights, and I couldn't grip the weights. And I felt almost like this arthritic pain in my hands. And I was like, okay, I'm not sleeping well. I've been gaining weight. I feel so moody. I feel so irritable. Like, all this stuff's going on with digestion. And I just instinctively knew in that moment, I was like, oh, this is Hashimoto's.
Oh.
This is Hashimoto's. And so sure enough, I went to my ND and I ran some blood work, and I had really high antibodies, and that just kind of set me on this path to really dive deep into thyroid health and autoimmune health. And so I worked for many years, really working on lowering those antibodies, which, I mean, we can always talk about, but I think we become so obsessed with the numbers and the lab work that we kind of get blindsided by, other areas that we need to focus on. And so it was such a beautiful lesson and journey for me to go through that, because I learned so much about myself. I was already taking such good care of myself, but now I had to just up level in a whole other way and really learn about thyroid health and autoimmune in a whole other way that I hadn't before. And, many years later of just really working on nutrition and sleep and stress, getting sunlight, managing movement, all of that. There's so many pieces that make up the puzzle, right? Just really working through all of that, I really managed to get my Hashimoto's into remission. And to be quite honest, I will share that there's obviously been times where those antibodies have kind of gone up and down and up and down. And the thing is, I've learned over the years that that's just going to happen.
Yep.
And it doesn't
your body
mean,
talking to you.
Yeah.
But now you're listening.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean something is wrong with you, or it doesn't mean now oh, I got to go now cut all these things out over here, or try all these 50 supplements over here. That's not what that means, And I think, especially for me, I've seen this so many times with the women that I've coached in my practice, is they see those numbers and then it's okay, well, now what diet do I need to do? And what thing do I need to take? And, and it's the numbers can go up and down for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Those antibodies can vary for so many reasons. I remember going to Italy, I think it was in 2018, for 2 weeks, and had the best time ever, ate all of the things, enjoyed everything. And it was travel and adventure and, new experiences and fun, and no computer, no work, nothing. And I came back and I had the lowest antibodies that I had ever seen. The lowest ever. And, I'm that's just such a testament to go to show how fun and adventure and play really matters.
Yeah. Your nervous system is running the show.
Absolutely. I tend to undermine those things. Yeah. So that's kind of the story there with Hashimoto's. And then, after really getting that kind of under control, and then at 40, going to the pregnancy story, yeah, at 40, got unexpected pregnant. I say unexpected. I obviously know how it all works. Okay, lady, I know how it all works. Unexpected because there was a piece of me that kind of felt like, I'm 40. Like, what are the chances? Like, the chances of this happening, like this, literally this one time where we don't use protection. This one time. Whatever. It's not going to happen. And sure enough, it did. And so it was, a beautiful, short-lived experience because 9.5 weeks later, I ended up having a miscarriage. And it was so beautiful. I mean, you've heard the story with the whole miscarriage. And of course, there is a podcast episode where I dive really deep into it. And I'm obviously in a really great place right now and have worked through all of that to be able to talk about it all. And I think sharing our stories are just so powerful, right? Because they really help other women to share their stories and to work through their grief and their healing. But yeah, I had the miscarriage at 9.5 weeks at a mushroom ceremony, my mushroom retreat that I was hosting, which was so wild. It was meant to happen in that way because I was so supported with so many amazing women. It was just such a beautiful experience. But that miscarriage, it really sent me deep into the throes of perimenopause.
Yeah.
Right? It's one thing to have a miscarriage in your 20s or your 30s, but the resiliency of your hormones at 40 is just so different. And so not having a period for 3 months, no ovulation. And here I was, a period like every 28, 29 days to a T, like no issues with my cycle. And then, not having a period for those 3 months. Oh my goodness. Like once I finally did get my period at the end of 2023, so December 2023,
Wow.
had the miscarriage in September, got my period December 2023. And then following that period, heading into 2024, I had like 35-day cycle, 21-day cycle, no cycle for 75 days, hot flashes, night sweats, gained 10 pounds in 4 weeks, heart palpitations. Like, I was just like, oh my God, what is happening here?
Yeah. You're having all of the experiences that you are coaching women on, hearing in your community all of the time in this compacted, short experience of time.
Yeah.
And Sam, I will just say that I have listened to that podcast. I was not expecting for it to be that. I wake up in the morning and I meditate, and then I get about my day quite slowly, and I love to throw on a podcast. And I rarely, unless a friend has sent the podcast to me saying, I think you'll love this, I will always listen to those first. But this was a day where I was like, I don't have one in the lineup. I'm just going to go to what's in my library. Your podcast is one in my library. It's the Wellness Switch podcast. And I hit the most recent episode. And I had plans to go to yoga that day. I think I had like a 10:30 a.m. yoga class to go to. And I never got to that class.
I'm sorry.
So, well, and I am so deeply sorry for your loss. But I just have this feeling that baby soul, even though it was here for a short time, will always remain in your heart, and I think in the hearts of everyone who hears that episode. So I highly, highly recommend anybody who is supporting someone who's had this experience, has been through it themselves, even if it was long ago, there's healing to be done by hearing your shared story there. And yeah, I started brushing my teeth as I started listening, and I never stopped brushing. I, like an hour later, like ugly tears, don't talk to me. I'm going to brush my teeth for an hour while I am with you in that. So I think, thank you so much. I think, hearing other struggles reminds us that suffering is a universal experience. Just reassures us that we're all part of this shared human experience, and that's part of the experience. And it sucked for you. And you're not afraid to say how hard it was, and the detail that you go into about the way you listened to your body, the way you allowed yourself to be supported, the synchronicities are one of my favorite things. So listeners, go do yourself a favor and listen to that episode as a way to really get an insight of who Sam really is. And I think the things that you're meant to be here to share. So all this that you've been through with your Hashimoto's, with the miscarriage, with now these perimenopause symptoms kicking your ass. I just think we all have this opportunity to learn so much from it. So thank you for that podcast.
Oh, thank you. You're bringing tears to my eyes. Yeah. No, thank you so much. It was It was an interesting experience too, because normally I wouldn't share from a place like that, but it was such a strong voice that was like, you need to share this right now. Like, you need to share it right now. You're like really in the deeps of the throes and the fields of it, and you just got to share it. So
it's happening
so
for a
I did,
reason.
and I received so many beautiful messages. It was just so amazing. So yeah.
It's so beautiful to hear somebody else's story, and I think we can heal through other people's stories as
100%.
well. And it sounds like you're very connected to your intuition, even just from the beginning, right? With Hashimoto's and knowing, like, what are the chances that you just intuitively know this is what is going on, and how beautiful it was that you were surrounded by so many supportive women and supported in that way. It's just so beautiful. And I think if you're going through something, or if a family or friend is going through something, listen to that episode, because it is truly beautiful. I loved it.
Thank you. That means a lot.
So let's talk about perimenopause, because we have so many in our community who know that, metabolism is important, and especially with perimenopause. And I think just in this day and age, especially with all of the information that's out there, especially with social media, it can be confusing for people to get a grasp of what it truly means, especially when that information out there is conflicting. So with a nutritionist who has lived it, who has an extensive amount of experience in this area, can you tell us what metabolism truly means?
Absolutely. So metabolism really means whole body health. And I think when women hear the word metabolism, they instantly think of weight loss or fat loss.
Yes.
And I know that was me for many, many years, that I always thought of, whether my metabolism is fast or slow, I always just related it to that specifically: fast, slow, weight loss, fast, fat loss, or weight gain, right? And so I think most women, that's what they think of when they hear it. But metabolism truly is why your whole body is running. It's your digestion, it's fertility, it's your brain, it's movement, it's your thyroid health, right? Your thyroid plays a massive role in metabolism, because your thyroid is essentially like your metabolic igniter. And so we have to really think about whole body health when we think about metabolism. It is not just about losing weight, gaining weight. It really is digestion running, period health, like I said, fertility, brain health, our memory, our focus. This is all involved. And of course, weight loss and fat loss and weight gain and whatnot, it does play a role here as well. And so just to go back a little bit to my story, when I was kind of deep into all those symptoms of perimenopause and gaining the weight, I was like, okay, I don't feel good in my body right now. And having a 5'3" frame and gaining weight doesn't feel good. Like, I feel heavy. I feel really puffy in my body. And it's not just the weight, it's also all these other symptoms that are showing up. And so a lot of women go through this, and it's oftentimes the weight that gets them to really take the action.
Right.
And then this is where they start to seek out like all these crazy diets and these workouts and supplements and all of the things. And so I'm here at this place not feeling great. And I said to myself, okay, I eat really well. But what does eating really well mean if I don't have the data of what this actually looks like? Like, how much am I actually eating in a day? How much protein am I getting in? Carbs, fat? And so this was when I was like, okay, I know this is the path that many women are going to go on some crazy yo-yo diet. And I'm not going to do that for myself. I am going to actually start tracking and really gain this data and look at my macros, so that I could intelligently start to make the changes versus just kind of like guessing and restricting or depriving myself. And this is really important, because a lot of women, like I said, they go the yo-yo diet route. And it's always so interesting to me that we're all about like, okay, investing in the lab work, investing in the hormone test, doing the gut health. I'll spend all this money on all of the thing and get all this data. But yet you're not going to track your macros and weigh your food for 2 weeks and get some data to just see what your nutrition looks like, the foundational thing.
The simple things.
Yes. And so tracking our food, and obviously nutrition plays a massive role here in our metabolism, because food is fuel. And if we want our metabolism humming and firing and, effectively running well for us, we need to put fuel into the tank. We really got to start looking at our food and especially our macro breakdown.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so excited because I feel like not everybody's talking about this right now. Like so many things in the health and wellness space get repeated and repeated and repeated.
Yes.
And when I started hearing you talk about like the words tracking macros, I'm like, I have heard that before, but
Right.
not for long. Like I remember being elementary school teacher. I had to be a bit of a generalist. So I took a minimal amount of science, like literally the least amount I had to take.
Right.
And I remember like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, like these are macronutrients. I know what you're talking about when you say tracking macros. That's what you're talking about, right? It's these three things.
Absolutely.
And then I'm looking at it through so I'm a perimenopausal woman, right? Sam, what would you define? What's the age that you would say people could know they're perimenopausal?
I mean, we start seeing now a lot of women even after 35 starting to experience more perimenopausal symptoms, typically more so after 40, like 40 plus, but even within, age 35 plus.
35 plus. And I'm 48. I fit in that definition, and I'm very so grateful that I'm not experiencing many of the common symptoms.
For sure.
All of my friends, I know you're listening. Sam gets it. She gets that you have hot flashes and irregular menstrual cycles and you're having night sweats and your mood sucks and you're not sleeping well and your libido is decreased and you're tired. Like that's a big one. You're tired. And our cognitive changes and our hair and our skin and the joint and the muscle pains and aches.
Totally.
And people are talking about bone density. But you're absolutely right that in my circle, the only one they care about is the weight.
The weight.
And they are not relating it. They're not thinking the weight and they're not going, okay, carbs, proteins, fats. What do I need to think?
Yeah.
They're just looking at the recipe itself and that somebody said it's great for perimenopause or it's great for skin or it's great for whatever it is they're thinking of. So give us, get in there, girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tracking macros and beyond weight loss. Yes, you're going to get that, but give us benefits of tracking macros beyond the weight loss and get in there and tell us how we're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you're absolutely right. Your macronutrients, protein, fats, and carbs. And then, of course, we have our micronutrients, vitamins and minerals and all those good things, which obviously we're going to get from eating the macronutrients, right? Although I guess it depends what kind of macronutrients you're choosing to eat. And so when it comes to tracking, essentially, this is what I always tell clients is if we are going to get started working together, I need to know how much you're eating or how little you're eating, because that's often the thing that I see is women under eating. And right? Yes. And I was doing the same thing and not intentionally. I wasn't under eating intentionally. I'm thinking that I'm eating enough food to fuel my body. But after tracking, I realized I'm really not. And so when it comes to tracking, it's really simple. You're going to get a food scale and you are going to start, at least for the next 2 weeks, my suggestion is just to track every single thing you're eating and do not change anything with your diet. Don't try to, quote unquote, eat better, eat healthier. Don't do any of that. Yes, no cheating. We really just want to see how your diet actually looks like day to day and what your habits are looking like day to day, right? Because not only are we going to see how, the amount of food that you're eating or how little you're eating, but we're going to start seeing what snacking and grazing might look like. We're going to start seeing where you often skip meals, which is a really bad thing, ladies. We got to eat meals, okay? We got to eat a lot of meals. You're not a small child. Eat like an adult woman, okay? So get out a food scale, start to track every single thing that you're eating. And I mean everything. I know it's very easy, especially if you have kids, for example, if you're, putting food on their plate and you kind of grab something off of the plate or you're licking that spoon of nut butter or whatever it is, all of that needs to be taken into account.
Okay, stop for a second because I'm thinking of the amount of women that are going, my kids are busy, I'm running carpool, I'm working all day, and then I'm getting into activities. So all I have time for is a casserole. So all my ingredients are already in there. Sam, how do you want me to know the giant scoop that I shoved on my plate? So what's the tip for people who are thinking, I can't break it down to get all of those ingredients on the scale? Can we do something proactive to help with those situations?
Yeah. So obviously, like soups, stews, casseroles, those become a little bit more challenging to weigh. My suggestion would be like, if you can almost weigh everything before it's going into the casserole, so that you have an idea of like, okay, I use 6 ounces of chicken breast and I use whatever potato or whatever it is, right? If you can just kind of weigh it all and then throw it into your casserole, and then you just divide it like by the amount of servings, right?
Eyeball the math.
Exactly.
I'm eating a sixth of this.
Right. It's not going to be perfect, but we're still going to get an idea.
Got it.
So
no excuses, ladies. You're still counting those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even though it becomes more challenging, we still got to do it. And so you got to weigh everything in grams and ounces. That's the other thing, really important, because a tablespoon of nut butter to me is going to look very different to you. What a tablespoon of nut, like it's very easy to slop a big amount onto your spoon, and it could be really 3 tablespoons. Yeah. So we can't just be eyeballing these things or measuring it based on like a tablespoon or technically like a serving. We have to weigh it. And so weighing it in grams, weighing it in ounces, liquids, of course, you could do like milliliters, or sometimes you can do grams with that. I do have a scale that measures in milliliters, which I do recommend getting one that does milliliters. That's really helpful. And the great thing is when you're measuring and you're weighing these in the apps that you're using. So for example, you're inputting this information into like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer or Macros First. There's tons of different apps. You can choose whichever one you want, whichever one makes sense for you. And there's a lot of free apps and free versions that you can get. And so you're going to weigh your food, and then you're going to start tracking it inside these apps. And the great thing with the apps is that there's a feature where you could just scan the barcode. So if you're eating your yogurt, you just scan the barcode, it already pops it up, and then you just put the amount. Like,
thank you, modern technology.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's really
that just sounds
great.
Like fun. I want to go scan everything in my pantry right now.
It's really, really great. So, not that I eat a lot of packaged food, but like the cheese that I buy, the yogurt, the cottage cheese, the cauliflower gnocchis that I'm eating, like all of this is still in package. And so you can just scan the back. Even just like sausages that I'm eating, from a local farm, I'm shocked that it's in MyFitnessPal. And if I just scan the code, I'm just like, it pops up. So that actually goes to show you that like other people are eating those foods and have already inputted there. So thank you to whomever those people are.
Shared humanity.
You're making my life easier.
Yeah.
Yes. So the databases are quite large, which is great. So a lot of food is already in there. And just start to track for 2 weeks, everything that you're eating, put it into the app. And then now you can go back over those 2 weeks and take a look and be like, okay, how much protein am I averaging every single day? How much carbs am I averaging every day? How much fat? I was looking at a client's MyFitnessPal the other day, and they had tracked for 10 days. And I would say maybe 60 grams of protein she's getting in a day, like maybe, and like double the amount of fat. And this is a really big macronutrient that we go over, fat, because it's in everything, right? Like if you're eating animal products, you're getting protein and you're also getting fat. And so it's really, really easy to go over the fat. And I'm not anti-fat. Fat is really great, and we want to have that in our diets. But in relation to carbohydrates and proteins, we're like really overdoing it. So it's just so fascinating to start to look at this and be like, well, no wonder I'm starving at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because I ate so much carbohydrates all morning and barely any protein. Or I ended up, I'm skipping meals at lunch, or I'm not eating till 4 o'clock because I'm so busy in the afternoon, right? Like we start to see our habits.
Me.
Yeah. I'm calling you out, Brandy. I'm calling you out. Yeah.
And I have the you're describing what I would do if I didn't have the awareness. I'm, like you said, I have learned to listen to my body screamed at me for years, and I didn't listen. And then I paid the price.
Yeah.
And I also see it as a gift, because it's why I am where I am now. What I have learned, I just want to tell everybody, don't do what I did. Don't make the mistakes. But I think we know when our body is trying to tell us something. Yes. And we want to fix that with a pharmaceutical. We want to fix that with alcohol. We want to fix that with something that feels easy. right? Neuroscience tells us that to run from things that feel difficult and changing what we eat is difficult because it's a habit. It's the what we've bought. What's in your fridge is what you chose when you were at the grocery store. You already made the decision for yourself.
Right.
If you're going to look for a healthy snack, but you didn't buy it, girl, it's not going to be there. This has to be intentional. And I think that's what you're saying is when you see the reality. So for 2 weeks, don't change. You start to have to show up and face yourself and go, you made those decisions. The reason you ate all of that is because you bought all of that and you brought it in your house and you had it available to you. So in your moment of weakness, it's what you chose from. Where what you're saying is that now I can understand I'm out of balance. It's not bad. It's not wrong. But holy smokes, this is not balanced. And Sam, tell us then, what does more balanced look like? Is there, like, you take that information, now what do you do with it?
Right. And so, and you know, the other thing I just want to add here real quick is like diet culture is so ingrained in us. And so for years, women have this idea that we need to eat a little amount and that, you know, chicken and a salad is a sufficient meal and that carbohydrates are bad. And so there's just so much unlearning that needs to happen when it comes to nutrition, especially when it comes to women's metabolism. We are so fearful of eating food and eating enough food. You know, I'm at a place right now where I am trying to eat as much calories as possible to maintain my weight because I know I still have a weight loss goal that I want to achieve. And if I can get those calories up high enough, when I now cut from those calories, I'm not cutting and eating 1,000 calories a day. I'm actually eating a sufficient enough, like enough calories. I only need to be in that calorie deficit for a short amount of time. And then I can go back up to that maintenance and really maintain. And here's the kicker. Never have to diet again if you do it the right way, right? So going back to your question, balance, I mean, what it really looks like. Obviously, it looks different for everybody because everybody's needs are so different. Everybody's, in terms of movement, looks so different in activity levels, right? So at the very least, when it comes to protein, I do suggest that getting at least 30 grams of protein at each meal. That's at least somewhere between 90 and 100 grams, eating 90 and 100 grams a day. If you are strength training and you're really active, you might want to bump that up a little bit more. And then basically kind of filling in the gaps with carbohydrates and fats. So kind of aiming around, I'd say that 100 grams of protein at the least, at the very least, like just start there. I would definitely recommend women eat a little more, but start there and then kind of fill in those gaps with carbohydrates. So I typically, like inside our membership, we already have our macro membership, like we already have all kinds of meal plans and templates created for everybody. So we have, you know, plans that are within the 15 to 1600 calorie range, within the 16 to 17, the 17 to 18, 18, you know, and then on. And I typically like to break them down in like a 40, 30, 30. So like a 40% carbs with a 30 protein and a 30 fat. So that's kind of how I would recommend it is to go somewhere along those lines. And that's just a healthy kind of balanced place to start. But of course, you might have to tweak because someone might do a little bit better with a little bit more protein or, you know, someone might do better with a little less fat, maybe 25%. So you have to play around with it. And this takes a bit of time and it's a bit nuanced. But like I just said earlier, if you do this the right way and truly learn, like you will never have to diet
forever. And I think the hard thing for so many, I mean, people, not just women, is that very few of us live in isolation. We either have a roommate, a partner, you know, a colleague that we eat with every day, a family, children. Depending on your life, chances are you're not eating every single meal alone. And then with what you're saying, how it's individual. I mean, I grew up like you sat down and you ate together and we all ate the same thing. And there was this expectation that, you know, you tried everything, you put everything on your plate. Yes. And you're essentially saying that we have to break that blueprint. We have to break that programming that we should be eating the same things. I think it's easy for me. I have 2 children with a special diet. They have phenylketonuria, PKU. They've been on a low protein diet since birth, not by choice. So I by default, as
Yes.
their mothers, started eating lower protein because I
That's
was
what they were
nourishing
eating.
them,
Yeah,
and
of
that's what
course.
they were eating, and that became easy to do. So learning as I've gone on, man, I have a really bad habit of not prioritizing protein, and that does not feel good for me. I had to really break the habit of just eating what others were eating for convenience. You
Right.
have to love yourself enough to feed yourself what
Yes.
you need, and
Yes.
then support others around you. Like, you're not necessarily going to do this for your husband because his goal might not be your goal. But if he wants to do it, great. And it can be a, what are you eating? What am I eating? And we could eat it at the same time.
Totally.
But chances are you're not going to be eating what others in your family are eating.
Well, the thing is, it's actually like, for example, my husband and I, tonight, like we are making chicken thighs. We're going to do some roasted potatoes. I'm going to have a salad. Maybe some like roasted asparagus. That's what we're making for dinner. I'm eating the exact same thing he's eating. It's just my portion will look different.
That's it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing. It's just my portion looks different.
Yeah.
And whether you're in a, and we can go through these different phases in terms of like a maintenance phase or a caloric deficit, you don't have to restrict yourself or deprive yourself. You can still eat all the foods you love. You're just eating a little less of it.
This is it.
Yeah. So you don't have to, like when I was in my calorie deficit last year, I was eating ice cream every single day. And I fit that into my calories for the day and my macros for the day because I knew that that was the thing that was like bringing me joy and pleasure. And I didn't feel restricted and deprived. So I love food. If you've ever followed me on Instagram, you probably see like the recipes. And I love to be creative in the kitchen and bake and cook.
She puts mushrooms in everything.
Everything. It's
She
true.
does.
True story. And I want to feel not just nourished, but I want to enjoy my food and I want others to do the same. And so it doesn't have to feel restrictive and deprived and you can eat the foods that you love.
I think that's the biggest thing going back to diet culture is we think that we have to eliminate all of these things and be deprived of all of the things that bring us joy. Like you don't have to go overboard. You can have it. Like what in your diet that you're eating really brings you joy. And I think it also goes back to tracking your macros with an app, right? And just to have the awareness of what you're eating. And then you can say, well, yeah, like that big scoop of nut butter that I'm having, I love that. That just makes my day. And it, it's delicious
fit it
or
in.
this.
Yes.
I'm going to fit it in.
Totally.
And that's okay, right? There's no cookie cutter way.
Yes.
And we talk about this all the time too with functional mushrooms is it's coming back to yourself and having that awareness because there are childhood beliefs and all of the things that you are also having to break too, right? And like you said, eat like an adult, right? So many people, I think more than we realize, don't eat like an adult and we eat like children. And we haven't changed that. And we just don't have the awareness of that, right? So tracking that is not to place judgment. Like there's no judgment. It's, okay, let's see what we're dealing with. Then we can make changes because what you eat is going to be different than what I eat and what Brandy eats. And there are going to be little tweaks where we can still feel like we have joy in our lives because that is so important. Just like you with Hashimoto's, right? When you're joyful and happy, you're going to be healthier and you're going to feel better in your skin and you're going to be more successful to achieve whatever your goal you're looking to achieve, like weight loss, like feeling better in your own skin.
And Desiree can speak to this because we should celebrate her for a moment because she just did a year of sugar-free.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. No processed sugar.
No processed sugar.
Good for you. I missed the chewy candy, but it was so great.
But the chewy candy didn't make her feel great. So taking out these little habits, she was eating like a kid. She was doing what made her feel good as a kid by turning to these sugar. And I mean, when she decided to do it, I was like, I got you, girl, but man, I can't do it with you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go to sugar as my comfort. But she recognized that that was it. You said, I was so proud of you. Des was like, I'm doing it and it's going to be hard and I need you to support me. So making the people in your life aware that you're doing something. And then I think, Des, you found so many things that do bring you joy that weren't sugar because you weren't reaching for it. So if you're someone that's like, man, that sounds like a lot of protein, Sam. Well, you know what? Start looking at things that have a lot of protein that you never thought of and find the ones that you love and start incorporating them. And I think that's where your program. Sorry to interrupt you, Des, but I just think you are worth celebrating because you're living proof that it can be done when you really don't want to feel the way the choices that you were making made you feel.
For sure. For sure. And, just protein, a lot of women think, oh, but I'm not trying to, put on muscle mass or something like that. Like that's what so many women equate protein with, right? Sure, it will help with that if that is a goal of yours. But protein breaks down into amino acids, and those amino acids go to support your neurotransmitters. The biggest testimonial that we hear from women when they eat more protein is how their moods have improved.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing. So we don't realize how much of an impact our macronutrients play with our mood, our skin, our hair, our libido, our energy. Energy is another one. I would say mood and energy are the two biggest ones. Yeah. Starting to eat more protein and just more food in general, you have more energy because there's more fuel in the tank. And then the mood, like it's a really massive
Profound
shift that women experience. And so I think, again, it's just this like unlearning of diet culture and thinking like, oh, I don't want to be a bodybuilder and I don't need to eat all that protein. It's
That's
like,
the biggest one.
No.
Yeah. You're not going to be.
Yeah. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Yeah. You will feel so much better, have more vitality, energy, and more balanced moods. I promise, like just by that shift alone.
Yeah. And feeling more empowered to,
for sure,
that you are in control and you have a say and you are changing these things. And it's a new year. It's 2025. I personally don't believe in resolutions because I think it fits, again, into diet culture. Like when I decided I'm going to eliminate processed sugar, it was more intuitive. This is going to be really hard, but I feel like I need to do it. So I'm going to do it. And I wasn't restrictive completely because for me, I'm like, I really like a little bit of honey in my morning matcha. Yeah. That brings me joy.
Yes.
I'm not going to deprive myself of that. Cheers, my friend. And
she might be too matcha deep by now. We're not going to lie.
I might be, you know what? My second is sitting right here. So I'm almost too matcha deep. For the new year, a lot of people see this as a time for growth. Kind of like September. Like September is Brandy and I's favorite month because it's kind of like the school year and it's like the start of something new. Total nerds, whatever. But people in our community, I think, are really looking to optimize their health, looking to feel better. And optimizing their health and feeling better might be optimizing hormones. It might be weight loss. So from your perspective, I mean, we talked about macronutrients and tracking that and all of the things. And I think that is part of what people need to do to feel better. Speaking from personal experience as well. Like what else do they need to do as well? Give it to us straight up. If somebody's like, you know what, 2025 is the year. This is my year. Like I'm doing it. I am so abundant. I'm going to be my most empowered, best self. Samantha Gladish is going to tell me what I need to do.
Yeah.
Give us the goods.
Get out a pen.
I love it.
Write this down.
Write it down.
Because we know if you write it down, it might actually happen.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I got a long list here. Okay. Like you said, yes. Macros number one, start tracking. See where you're at. Get that data. From there, start to make some adjustments. Where do you need to eat more, especially protein? Let's start there. Do you need to increase the protein? Focus on the 30 grams at each meal. Secondly is, from that data, are you actually eating enough food? That's a big one. You have to fuel your body. And I see so many women who are eating like 1,200 calories a day, and it is not sufficient. And especially they're eating 1,200 calories a day and they want to lose weight, which means you're going to have to cut from those 1,200 calories. What are you going to do? Eat 900 calories a day? No. So you need to retrain your body. You have to repair your metabolism. And that might mean every week slowly increasing those calories by anywhere from 5 calories to 50 calories and slowly getting those calories up so you can start to eat more food while maintaining your weight. And your weight will budge, not because you gained fat, but because you're slowly eating more food and your cells, you're going to have more water retention in them. The scale will go up from water retention. So do not freak out. You did not gain 3 pounds over.
Keep going.
Keep
going.
Keep
going.
Keep going. Yes. So start
working.
to increase those calories. Okay. And then movement is a really big one. So I would definitely suggest, as I'm sure we hear it all over social media now, walking, right? It's just become such a trend. Shocking. Just this basic thing. But walk. Yes, walk. Get your movement in. I think that, there's also a lot of mothers that I work with, and they have little ones, and it's just like this idea of like, I can't fit in a workout, but maybe more of the intention of just how can I get more movement throughout the day, right? So am I standing at my desk? Can I walk, around the neighborhood with my kids or push a stroller around, whatever that looks like. So just get more intentional movement in. If you can't wrap your head around going to the gym or fitting in a 40-minute workout, intentional movement. Okay. So getting that up. Ideally, I like to see women getting in at least 8,000 steps a day at the very least. Sunlight would be the next one. Sunlight is so important, and starting your day with that sunlight in your eyes. And a lot of people trip out over this because they're like, well, it ain't sunny where I live, so I'm not getting any sunlight.
We know we're Canadian, folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're in Vancouver over here. Oh my God. Yes. It's been cloudy. So rain, sun, cloud, cold, whatever it is, go outside first thing in the morning and get that light, the natural light in your eyes.
So much neuroscience behind this, folks.
Yes.
She's not just saying it because she wants you to get out and do it. Like, there's so much great science around that easy little thing. Like, drag your butt out of bed, open your door, and whatever you would normally do in the morning, if it's breath, if it's meditation, if it's journaling, if it's having a cup of tea, just do that outside.
Yes, just do it outside. Yeah, that's what I do. I take like my cup of bone broth or my tea or something, and I go outside and I have it on the porch. And I just bundle up. Like, I look ridiculous in the morning. I literally roll out of bed, put on a crazy, big jacket, parka thing, put on my toque with my slippers on, and all the kids line up outside to grab the bus outside my house. And everyone's just like, what is she doing?
There's
and
that
like,
lady.
why is she looking up at the sky? Like, I look so weird. And I'm like, whatever. You're going
first, though. They're all going to learn, hey, that lady's also super happy and she's beautiful and she's vibrant. And like, that is a picture of vitality. And but what is she doing? She's bundled up. She's camping every single morning outside. So there must be a piece of that. Okay.
Totally.
Okay, keep going.
And that sunlight, just that natural light is so important. It really supports our serotonin, our happy hormone, but it also supports our melatonin. So if you cannot sleep well and you're waking up numerous times throughout the night, or you can't fall asleep, and I know this sounds counterintuitive, but getting that natural light during the day is what will actually support your sleep. So if you get that light in, it's really supporting your circadian rhythm. And that's going to help support your melatonin production at nighttime. So I know a lot of us are thinking about like, well, what do I got to do at night? And it's like, actually, what do I have to do at night for sleep? It's actually what you do all day that's really supporting that.
Yeah.
So
and one thing too, if people who are listening are like, but that's kind of hard, like, is that actually going to impact me? Because it's something so simple. Like, it's the simplest thing.
It is.
But if you think back to the summer and how you're sleeping, like, temperature aside, but when you wake up, it's sunny. You're going outside, right? And then in the evening with the darkness, right? But that contrast between morning and night, and then people forget in the winter, and it's like, I don't know why I'm so tired. Like, I'm exhausted. It's like, because you didn't go outside and get light.
So true. It's so true. It makes a massive impact.
My very favorite neuroscientist says, Sarah wakes you up and Mel puts you to bed. And if you're not supporting serotonin and melatonin, like, it's such an easy way to remember it. Like, why am I not sleeping? Because I'm not producing melatonin. Why am I not producing melatonin? Because there wasn't enough serotonin there to convert into it.
Correct.
Why do I not have enough serotonin? Oh, now I can start the problem. Yeah. So Sarah wakes you up, Mel puts you to bed. You're going to feel great if they both become your friend.
Our favorite friends. So good. That is great. The other thing is that natural light actually supports your leptin levels. So our leptin and our ghrelin, these are like our hunger and satiety hormones, and it's going to really support those. So especially if you're finding like, I'm just always hungry, and your hunger levels feeling off, even though you feel like you're eating enough food or a sufficient amount of food, that natural light is going to support those levels as well. Amazing. So it's so key. It's so key. And like, just going back to what Desiree was saying, it's so simple, and we undermine the simple things. Totally. Getting enough sleep, moving our body, getting natural light, eating enough food. You don't have to pay, outside of paying for your groceries, it's not expensive, and it doesn't have to be hard. And we need to really nail these foundations if we really want to make a change. And so the last thing on that list there would be sleep. because if you're not sleeping, you're not healing. And so really getting a healthy sleep routine in place. Obviously, listen, moms, I get it. You've got a whole other life going on there. And if you have a newborn, maybe some of this isn't going to fully apply to you. And I understand that. But, otherwise, for majority of us, it's really having a healthy sleep routine, maybe putting dimmers in your house at night. Like that will be really helpful, because if you have so much light on in your home and all that blue light, it really does disrupt that circadian rhythm and your melatonin production. We like to have, I forget what they're called, the Hue bulbs. Are you familiar?
Yes.
Yeah, the Hue. And then like it connects, of course now technology involved, everything connects to an app on your phone, but you can go onto your phone and you can like dim the lights and you can change the colors and all of that. So everyone on our street calls our house the red light district.
That's so funny.
So funny, because there's a red light in our bedroom and then red light in the like living space. So if the neighbors behind us just see like all this red light. And
I don't know if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my red light is right here on my bottom shelf in my bookshelf. And it's like a campfire to me. Like putting that on in the evening would have been what our ancestors did when they gathered around the fire at night. It's not by mistake that the red light of that was helping them with this healing sleep that they would receive after the stories were told. And so the other thing they added was connection. And I think when you're talking about, you and your husband and the red light, having some type of way to connect with community, with friends, with loved ones, some point in your day is the other piece that we can't ignore through all of that. And if, the things you're saying are so simple, Sam, I love that most of it is free. These are just things you have to decide that you're willing to change. And you might not have to change all of them. Sam could have just said all of those things and you're like, I'm doing all of that. Be honest with yourself. Which one of them are you not doing well?
Right.
Which one of them needs some adaptation?
Yeah.
I think it would not be fair if we left our fungi friends without the mention of mushrooms in all of this. We know you're a mushroom nerd, and we are watching you make these beautiful recipes and share your love of food online. And it just makes my heart so happy when I'm like, Sam's making mushrooms. Sam's putting mushrooms in that. You put mushrooms in things. Okay. The day I saw you put mushrooms in your bone broth hot chocolate, and I think you put an egg in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I was like, what is she doing now? Holy smokes, girl. So I think.
What's going on in the red light district?
Right? Shrooms in a red light. What is
a
happening?
lot of marshmallow coffee.
This is it. So at the end of each podcast, we love to ask a guest that we have a tagline at Eversio Wellness that is a mushroom for every moment. What does that mean to you? And tell us a bit about your history with mushrooms.
Me, some mushrooms. I fell in love with mushrooms. I think I was like in my early 20s, and I was working at a health food store, and all these different mushroom products were coming onto the market, and I was just like, what are these? And just totally fell in love with them. And working in a health food store, you get to attend so many different trainings, and all these different companies train you and teach you on all their products. And so I got to learn so much about mushrooms, and I was just like very instantly connected. And it's funny because one of the products that we sold back then, and I can't even remember the name, but our store specifically sold the most of that product because I was selling it all the time and getting everybody on mushrooms. And that was really how like my love affair started. And I've always loved them. And then I was so excited to be connected with you guys 3 years ago. And, I'm like, oh my God, a Canadian company, and they're doing it right, and therapeutic dosing, because there's a lot of questionable products out there, as we know. And we've spoken, in depth in this on one of my podcast episodes too, and really what to look for in a product, in a mushroom product. And so, yeah, I'm just in love with them. And I think they're so transformative, and anything that can connect me closer to earth and to nature, like I'm just all for. And so, and I think they're so powerful in connecting, right? Mushrooms just connect and have these conversations with each other, beneath the earth. And that connection is just so beautiful. And so taking them and feeling that connection to them is just I just love them.
Yeah.
I just love them for so many reasons.
It's a hard thing to describe. We say a couple of things. Mushrooms are symbols of interconnectedness. That's what we're describing when we say it. And then we talk about mushroom intelligence, which I'm sure people either roll their eyes or they're like, what do you mean when you say that? But that is what we mean. There's something about consuming something that came from the earth. Mother Nature designed this for a reason. We're not separate from nature. We are a part of nature. And when we look at them on a molecular level and then how they work on a cellular level in our body, there's no doubt that the beneficial compounds, the molecules inside the mushrooms fit inside so many important places in our body, in our brain, and support all the things you just talked about. So if it's sleep, there are mushrooms to support this.
Yes.
They're there to help you if you need them, when you need them. And I know, Sam, if I asked you your favorite mushroom 3 years ago, you said it was reishi.
What's your ride or die?
Yeah,
your ride or die mushroom.
Has it changed?
It has not changed. You know the answer to this.
Reishi all day long for
all
Sam.
day. Love it. Chill Now is my go-to. 2 capsules every night. And when I first started taking it 3 years ago, it was just wild, the changes that I saw in my Oura Ring and my app and deep sleep and REM sleep. And I recommend it to every single woman, especially in perimenopause, who are like, sleep is, one of their biggest complaints and they can't fall asleep or stay asleep. It's just my go-to. I love it.
Can come in. Yeah, I love that we are living in an age with biometrics where we don't have to be sold to, right? We don't have to listen to all the advertising and marketing out there around things. We can just say, just give me the best and let my body tell me if things are happening there.
Absolutely.
So that's amazing. All right, my dear friend, before you go, can you please tell our audience how they can find you, how they can be in contact with you? Tell them about this program they have to get on in 2025.
Yes.
And about all that incredible work you do and how they can find it.
Well, thank you. I love hanging out on Instagram, so you can come follow me there at I am Samantha Gladish. And if you have any questions, always send me a DM and connect with me there. There's lots of great info. And then, of course, my website, holisticwellness.ca, has all the info that you can find there in terms of our programs, books, and our macro method membership. So we run a monthly membership, and basically I created a program called the Macro Method. And it takes women through exactly how to calculate their macros, track their macros, and really learn about the different phases of dieting, calorie deficit, reverse dieting, maintenance, and really effectively implementing these phases so that, like I said earlier, you never actually have to diet ever again, and just really learning the intricacies of that. And so we teach you all of that, and there's great recipes every single month and meal plans. There's Q&As with me every single month, so tons of support, tons of education. And if anyone is interested in that, they can just head on over to holisticwellness.ca/macro method, and all the details are there.
You will find it. And I have seen it. I have seen the program myself. And here's the thing. I had no idea where all that great protein was hiding until I saw. So if you're listening to this and going, that all sounds really hard and I don't know if I can do it, this is the end of the episode. Sam's going to help you. You don't have to know all of the things. If you're not sure where to start, it's such a beautiful program that has photos and everything's broken down in charts and tables. And it tells you exactly I need to get my 30 grams of protein in at breakfast. Here are 10 different ways I could do it. That. And I mean, in human design, Desiree and I are both generators. I can't be like, what's for breakfast? My mind is blank. I need to be, is breakfast a protein shake or is breakfast something I need 2 choices and then I need my gut to tell me which one it is for me that day.
Right.
And
I love that.
You've created that for people. They just have to simplify by make the investment in your health and yourself now. Get that program going for you and you will have that information, that knowledge for the rest of your life. And like we said, beyond that, the other things you're going to do cost nothing. And if you're throwing some mushrooms in there to tweak the places that need a little bit of support, I feel like 2025 is going to be the year for so many people in this community. And I love that you are going to help them with the protein and the macro part of that. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom with us today. You're our favorite wellness witch.
You're so sweet.
And we can't wait to connect again. I think we connect again a year from now and we talk about how many lives you've changed.
Oh, you're so sweet. And same with you guys with this podcast, with your products. It's amazing.
It's going to be a great year. Thank you so much for joining us, Sam. Be well, community.
We hope you learned something new here today. If anyone you know could benefit from what we shared in this episode, please share it with them. And if you're interested in adding mushroom wellness to your life, you can use code podcast15 to save 15% on your entire order at eversiowellness.com.
If you haven't yet left us a rating and review, subscribed to this podcast, or followed our social media accounts listed in the show notes, we would so appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing this moment with us. Until next time, be well.